Je vais parler de, I'd call this fire adjacent, which is a question of whether going for credit card points or rewards is a scam or not, right? I feel like people feel very strongly on the subject, and frankly, so do I. And I am at least good at both building wealth and playing the points game a bit, okay? So I feel qualified to weigh in. Hey, Zempak here. Another day not working for the man. My God, have I mentioned how good this feels? Now, today's topic is a pretty common one in the personal finance space, and I'd say conceptually it can aid getting to FIRE just a little bit, and that is the credit card points game, right? If you're using a credit card, are you in the points game? No. You'd actually need a credit card with some sort of rewards to participate, right? The general gist of the question boils down to, should one play the credit card's points game at all, since some personal finance guru of the religious variety, Ramsey, seems to think that credit cards are the devil at worst and a scam at best, right? Yet on the other side, you know, there's some travel influencers, like the points guy, who want to make it sound like all their travel is always free and always totally top shelf, right? Now, for the majority of us human beings somewhere in the middle of this black and white spectrum, let's just try to avoid the absolute worst case scenario, right? So today I'll get into the weeds a little bit and talk about what could potentially make credit card points game not worth it, aka what could make it a scam so you can avoid it, right? If you like rants like this, or just want to laugh at my funny mug or whatever floats your boat, comment, like, subscribe, share, all that social media buzzwords, because I am rich enough for me and I will be great regardless of what you do. Point number one, right? If you pay any amount of interest on your card, then yep, it's a scam. Okay, let me just be clear, credit card companies make money, lots of money, right? They make money from vendors, like aka stores that accept cards for their transactions, but also interest payments from consumers, and the interest rate on credit cards start off at an incredibly high amount. You can look up the rates for whatever cards you have or want. I don't even need to do that because I can tell you with absolute certainty that you do not ever want to pay a cent of credit card interest, because it'll snowball real quick to the point where the interest dwarfs what the cost of the initial item that you financed to begin with, okay? So if you're not the type of person who can pay off your entire balance off every month when your credit card bill comes, I say sorry, credit cards in general are just not for you, okay? Now forget about the points game. You should not be using credit cards at all. Go listen to that basic bitch Dave Ramsey advice and stay away from credit cards. Stick to debit cards only because those cards won't let you run up a tab. If you're still in this stage of financial thinking though, forget about FIRE, right? I'd suggest getting your life together, because if you don't have enough mental discipline to not go into debt, I'm guessing that weakness will manifest itself in other aspects of your life as well, okay? Point number two. If your spending actually increases due to using credit cards, then it is also a scam. Okay? One of the key dangers of credit cards is that it feels like funny money, right? When you just hand over a piece of plastic when you're paying for things, right? There has been studies shown that people just spend more money when they're using cards, any cards, versus say cash. That is true for a normal average person, but you are interested in FIRE, so you are disciplined, right? I can easily give a tip that counteracts the idea that money in the form of cards don't feel as heavy or real as cash, right? All you have to do is just write down all your purchases as soon as you make it on either a paper pad or an app, your choice, but also total it to keep a running total, in terms of like monthly expenditures, right? The point of this simple exercise is to show how much accumulated expenditure you have, right? I suggest doing this for 6 months prior to getting a credit card and keep doing it for at least 6 months after you get the credit card, right? I'm using 6 months because it'll establish enough of a pattern in your regular monthly spending. Now, if you end up spending more money post-changing spending to credit cards to before spending on credit cards, that would indicate that you are indeed susceptible still to this total, this whole paying via plastic doesn't feel as tangible, therefore I can spend more idea, right? I'll give you a really quick example. Let's imagine you only spend 5% more, right? If you did that, that would still make using cards for the sake of rewards a scam, because you cannot consistently get 5% back on all of your regular monthly spending. So the only way to win is to make sure that your spending is actually consistent over time, right? Whether paying with cards or not. And this can easily be accomplished by simply recording expenses against a basic budget or not. Personally, I never put a cap or a budget, hard hard cap anyway on myself, and I still end up spending basically the same amount every single month. And I'm just an average Joe, okay? So if I can do it, so can you. Okay? Point number 3. I think this might be super obvious, but I still have to say it, okay? If you never use your points, that's right, then it's a scam. Technically a little bit less of a scam, more just what's the point of being in the points game? The reality is that in this world there are plenty of points out there, especially it's especially bad if it's airline miles that you accumulated that simply never gets used. So no matter how great you are at accumulating points or miles, none of that means anything if you don't use it. Okay, calling it a scam is a bit harsh in this case, right? Provided that you're not paying interest and you're not increasing your spending, of course, right? I give you my personal example, real easy. I got an airline card because I was flying JetBlue a lot back when I had a real job, and I had a bunch of points on it. But since then, I've moved to 2 separate different states where my wifey and I prefer to fly on a totally different airline these days. So what's happening to my JetBlue points? Not a thing, okay? They just sit there. They don't expire, that's cool. But I also haven't used them in a few years. So what's the point of having rewards if I can't or won't use them? So when I say it's a scam, I mean none of these points or rewards mean anything unless they can be easily used or are appropriate for your individual usage, right? Now, I'll give you a tip to get around this, right? You can just get cashback rewards cards, okay? Cashback is really easy to use. You can, at the very least, you can use it to offset your actual credit card bill. So there you go, piece of cake, right? Now, finally, anyway, you guys should know that I'm a cynic at heart, right? Trying to turn an optimist these days, now that I'm free from the dredge of corporate America, right? And I happen to have a bunch of credit cards. They're not a scam to me because I am supremely disciplined, right? In this area, anyway. I have travel points, I have cash back. I don't mind spending a few hours a year maximizing things because I don't have a boring regular job to think about. Will it be worth it to you though? Well, avoid the pitfalls I mentioned. I think you'll be well on your way. Now, the easiest thing to do is just get some cashback card first and work your way up to the fancier, more complicated world of travel points and portals, right? Gotta crawl before you walk, right? But before either, gotta learn how to stand on your own, not be knocked on your butt by the trickiness of the credit card company behemoths, okay? Let me know your thoughts below. Tell me if I'm off my rockers or whatever, okay? I'm open to criticism. Cheers. I'll approach it.